USB ports, local area network, and there's an audio out. Well, actually, yeah, there's an audio out. And if you don't have HDMI, there's a video, composite video out. And 5 volts input, running off a little battery pack.
Can you pass it around?
Huh?
Can you pass it around?
I can pass it around, but I'll take the stick out. That's the valuable part. Whoop. Oh, what's that? Okay. So remote control. I do a lot of remote control. As Heiko said, I travel a lot, so I want to be able to use my radio remotely. And you've got to be able to control the radio and get the audio in and out. And you can do that. The simplest method is using Skype. Many of you have heard of Skype, but there are now some custom modems, custom interfaces now for the rigs. And a demo for those of you who haven't seen this in the past. I have the same problem as I had a minute ago. So, password protected, and we're now connected remotely to my radio. So, it's a slow network connection, and I'm not going to connect the audio up and try and tune things in, but I'm still on the frequency of the 40-meter net on Sunday. It shows you how often I use the radio. There's the station, and I've got full control of this. If anybody's got a radio and they want to see me transmit, now I'm transmitting. There's a transmission. I can change the frequency band or change the frequencies. I can just click on this frequency of interest, and I've gone to 7170. Again, all the audio is coming back at me using Skype, which I haven't chosen to connect up to. It's going to take a minute or two to do that.
Do all this with the iPad also? Or just
You can do this on. I can do this on the iPad. Where's my iPad? Who stole my iPad? So the same capability is on the iPad. Let's just disconnect from here. Actually, this probably won't work because I haven't connected the iPad up yet to the. So this is VNC on the iPad. Oh, there we go. So I don't know if you can see that. So that VNC, virtual network connection, and that's the radio on the iPad. Right. And so I can connect to Skype on the iPad, a headset on, control the radio. I think I've had contacts with some of you guys on the 40-meter net, and I've had the iPad in front of me, and I've been using that to talk with. That's as remote as you can get. Android, I'm sure there's a VNC for Android. Any Android users with VNC who would know? I don't know that. Newer rigs have an IP connection on them to start with. So there are a number of sites, and I know that some of you put your hands up, who have connected to some of these IP sites. Now, I unfortunately, some of you software guys will know that there's a risk assessment on Java software at the moment. Anybody read this? Yeah? So I've erased Java off my computer, and this uses Java. So we will get so far into this, and then it will say I need to load Java, but it will give you an idea of what's going on. So it's called websdr.org, and what it does is it lists all of the locations of publicly available radios. W4AX using a soft rock on 160, 80 and 40. The HF at University of Eindhoven. Here's all the bands that it lets you operate. And if I connect up to this, just click on Europe, and we've got now down here, see I've got the plug-in missing, so I can't do anything. But this would show me, this is the 160 meter band. I can change the band by clicking 40 here, and it's gone to 40. And it would be streaming the spectrum, just like I was showing you from my radio, and you'd be able to click on wherever you saw a signal if you had the right plug-in for it, which I've disabled. So, you know, all of this is available to you. Here's all the bands. I haven't, these are showing you different stations that have connected. There's some JA stations connected up to this using it on 1.9. Somebody just disconnected from there. That could have been me because I just moved to 7. And so you can see all these other stations are connected. Because it's, it doesn't need only one person at a time. You can stream this as software-defined radio. You can stream pieces of each part of the spectrum because the decoding of the signal is done at your receiver, not in Eindhoven where this is. You're streaming back IQ, if you remember I talked about IQ earlier, you're streaming it back to your computer to decode. And that's why you need all the right software plugins to do the demodulation. So check that out. If you've got the right software, you can listen around the world. I find it quite interesting, I'm not going to admit to this, whistling in the mic and listening to it on the East Coast. If you No. I'm not advising it. So software-defined radio, I know that some of you guys are not technologists, so that's what it looks like. Here's what it really looks like from the very basic, simple, simplified block diagram. There's just one thing in here, a quadrature sampling detector. The antenna, and simplifying this to the nth degree, you know, yes, there could be filters on the front of this to filter out specific bands. The RF comes in here, and it's mixed with an oscillator, and we pull out the in phase and the quadrature. That's why it's a quadrature sampling detector, and it's mixed usually directly at the frequency of interest. So we mix, if you want to listen to a 7 meg signal, we mix it with 7 meg quadrature signals from the oscillator. That doesn't mean that the oscillator is at 7 megs. The oscillator is actually probably at 28 megs to get me the various quadratures that I need. But all of the work, once I've got this I and Q, all of the work is done in the sound card, in the PC. So that's what makes this very, very low cost. This is, as I said, a $25 receiver, $30 receiver, and all the hard work is done by the computer. And how many of you haven't got a computer? Nobody put their hands up. How many of you haven't got an HF receiver? Come on, how many haven't? Well, that's actually pretty good. But if you haven't, is it because you didn't want to spend $1,000 on an or even $500 on an HF receiver? You can get started. Your computer and a $25 card, or your computer and a you know, $75 transceiver. Is my little computer still in the room? Who's watching it?
Yeah. I was watching it, Malcolm was walking out the door.
Someone's going to eat it.
So internet radio, I've just shown you that. PSDR is the software that's used with a number of different radios. It's used with flex radios, which, you know, my remote was a flex radio. But you can use PSDR, a very, very sophisticated piece of software. It's even free because the flex people are selling you a piece of hardware. The software is by the way. You can download the software for free. And that software, which is, you know, really the heart of this whole software revolution, can control and be used with this $25 receiver. Never mind a $1,300 flex or a $7,000 flex. So the same capabilities, same software is being used. HD SDR, high definition SDR, is another free piece of software that is maybe a little easier to use than PSDR and works with even more radios than the PSDR does. SDR Sharp is yet another piece of software that I use extensively with this dongle. So free software, an almost free dongle is called. You know, it's 2 cups of Starbucks, $12, right? If you get the gourmet Starbucks. So I put down here $30, and you know, look at this. There's the $30 one, there's the $12 one.
They both work.
They're the same actually. No, but what happened was this came out a year ago and they were charging $30 for it. The chip inside went obsolete, so they didn't build any more, and they came out with a newer and better one, and it was lower in price at $12. This is the one that somebody mentioned had a horrible connector on it for the antenna, and it is. This one has got, I think it's an SMB, which is a little more common over here. But go to eBay, look up, if you want to, I'll tell you the exact website, or I'll email you the exact place to buy these for $12. And it took 7 days to get here. And they're honest people. I mean, the Chinese are very honest. There's no idea that this is not going to arrive. I've not had a bad product from China yet, I hate to say it, but I mean, most of you guys in this room have got a radio from China now, right? So I want to, before I finish, because I'm going to be kicked out soon, I want to just talk about a couple of things. So this has all been ham radio up until now, but the professionals, you know, and I work in the professional field for a living, have gone to the next stage. So receivers that are beyond all our imagination as far as software-defined receivers. This is a complete receiver from 100 kilohertz to 6 gigahertz. And it scans that frequency band 100 times a second. So if you wanted to look at a gigahertz, it'll do a gigahertz even faster. It's got 4 antenna inputs. I can point them in different directions. I can have them on different frequencies. It's got a full-blown computer inside here. Linux operating system again, with phenomenal processing power. And you know, you can fly these in things that fly high and fast and need to survey the world. And then the same thing here, just built for outdoor use, and with a ruggedized cover on this, sitting on the top of a pole everywhere. And our concept in the professional world is now, you know, if there's cameras everywhere watching you, why isn't there radio systems everywhere watching you? And these radio systems not only can listen and watch the spectrum, but they also locate the signals as well. So they have location techniques in them to geolocate on the signals. And as an example, I think, so this is a connection to a node sitting remote from me right now in the UK. You know, I can look at the occupancy in the last 15 minutes. Well, let's look at the last hour. And these are designed not to listen into people, but they're designed to see what frequencies are occupied, what frequencies might be made available. And so that's one of the things we do. And if we're lucky, we can make a live connection to the UK and look at the spectrum. So that's live spectral information coming back from the UK, from one of these sitting just outside London. And I can bring up a map and show you where it is, just outside London. Well, it'll take a second or two to load the map. But
And what's the use of this?
the use of this is all the time. Frequencies are not being used. The spectrum is finite. Government wants to know what frequencies are being used. Just because a frequency has been allocated to somebody, like the DoD, doesn't mean that they're using it. And the cell phone companies would love to have some frequencies to use because they don't have enough bandwidth, because everybody's on their iPhones video chatting, and they need more bandwidth. There's an activity right now to release some digital spectrum that the DoD has.
Can they use it to shift traffic?
Well, it can also be used to do dynamic frequency allocation, which is a new technology that is coming in. This, by the way, is becoming obsolete because this is going into every radio now. You put a some of you may or may not know this, but if you